Tonight, a 10-day ceasefire comes into effect in Lebanon, but Israel says its troops will stay in the country.
It's a very nice little package for about a week.
Hopes that the truce could lead to a lasting peace, even as the crisis in Lebanon continues.
These things do not stop with a flick of a button.
Plus, communities under threat from rising water.
If the water keeps coming up into the house and they have to shut off the hydro, then we'll definitely have to be evacuated.
Heavy spring rains bring flooding to Ontario and Quebec. And with their mission to the moon behind them, the Artemis II astronauts reflect on making history and the thrill of the journey.
Re-entry is just such a magical experience. You saw the plasma coming, it was red, but then it was green and bluish, and it was bright, and it was like somebody was welding outside the capsule.
Ian sits down with Jeremy Hansen and his crewmates for a Canadian exclusive interview.
From CBC News, this is The National with Erica Johnson.
Thanks for joining us. Adrian is away. After 6 weeks of fighting that has killed more than 2,000 people in Lebanon, a 10-day ceasefire is in effect. The response on the streets of some Lebanese towns and cities, celebrations for a respite from war. The truce announced by Donald Trump, confirmed by Israel's prime minister. But while Israel has agreed to stop bombing Lebanon, it isn't leaving, continuing its occupation of the country's south. And Hezbollah says as long as Israel remains, it has a right to resist. There have been sporadic reports of fighting after the ceasefire came into force. And Chris Brown shows us even if the truce holds, the situation is precarious. The challenge of getting peace profound.
Get back, get back, get back, get back!
The ceasefire may be here, but not before Israel's military delivered final crushing salvos, pounding the community of Nabatea and blowing up the path home for thousands by destroying the last major bridge over the Litani River into southern Lebanon. Israel cut off the roads and everything, said this bus driver. No one can come or go. But Donald Trump's sudden announcement of the truce on social media made no mention of Hezbollah, the force that's been blitzing northern Israel with rockets. Trump later seemed to suggest Lebanon would restrain the militants.
They're all agreeing it's a very nice little package for about a week. And we're not going to have lots of bombs dropping, and we're going to see if we can make peace between Lebanon and Israel.
These things do not stop with a flick of a button.
Still, if the truce holds, it would be a significant win for Lebanon's government. A senior cabinet minister told us it will give President Joseph Aoun's team a stronger hand to move forward and disarm Hezbollah.
There's got to be a political process, there's got to be a diplomatic process, a military process, which we as Lebanese are responsible for. We have to take control of our own borders.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who all last week said there'd be no let-up in the war, called it an historic opportunity. But he said Israel won't withdraw from southern Lebanon. And so many of the million or so people pushed out of their homes likely can't go back, including this 2-day-old baby living in a tent with her mother, who fears she won't survive the peace here, let alone the war. There are stray cats and rodents, and it's unhygienic for my baby's health, she said. Her mother-in-law has another grandchild just 10 days old. She told us Israeli soldiers are occupying her village. My whole family is now unemployed. There are many things I worry about, she said. The guns and rockets may be going silent. Lebanon's emergency has not.
And Eric, maybe you can hear the sounds of what sounds like celebration, people firing off automatic weapons all night ever since the ceasefire kicked in. The last ceasefire with Israel in 2024, though, failed. The IDF never fully left southern Israel, and Hezbollah didn't disarm. But Lebanon's government is stronger now, and the direct negotiations with the United States and Israel may help.
So, Chris, if this holds, there's some suggestion that the ceasefire could ease negotiations with Iran on the broader war.
Well, part of Iran's bargaining with the U.S. may have been to push for this truce involving Israel. Hezbollah is a useful ally, and allowing Israel's war to continue in Lebanon without helping the last week did put a strain on that relationship. The coming negotiations may test it further. Erica.
Okay, that's Chris Brown in Beirut tonight. And there are new warnings tonight about another growing crisis with the Strait of Hormuz still effectively closed. The head of the International Energy Agency warns Europe could run out of jet fuel in about 6 weeks. Some airlines are already canceling flights, and ticket prices are rising. Explosions rocked multiple Ukrainian cities after Russia launched nearly 700 drones and dozens of ballistic missiles on the country, the most massive barrage in weeks, many striking civilian areas. At least 16 people were killed, as Ukraine admits it is struggling with a limited supply of air defense interceptors. After days of verbal sparring with Donald Trump, Pope Leo says the world is, quote, being ravaged by a handful of tyrants.
Woe to those who manipulate religion in the very name of God for their own military, economic, or political gain, dragging that which is sacred into darkness and filth.
The Pope made those forceful remarks Thursday at a peace rally in Cameroon. He didn't mention Trump by name, but the pontiff blasted world leaders who spend billions on killing and devastation. The crew of the Artemis II mission are opening up about what they saw, felt, and were awed by on their 10-day trip to fly around the moon. Karen Pauls with what stands out to them a week later.
After an historic mission that took them further from Earth than anyone ever, the Artemis II astronauts are now reflecting on their journey and sharing their insights on the mysterious vastness of space.
When the sun eclipsed behind the moon, I think all four of us, I turned to Victor and I said, I don't think humanity has evolved to the point of being able to comprehend what we are looking at right now.
The sense of fragility and feeling small, infinitesimally small, but yet this very powerful feeling as a human being, like as a group.
There were lessons.
This mission taught me that the unknown is way scarier than the known.
And surprises, too, like what it felt like during the planned separation from one of their engines.
We're waiting for separation, and all of a sudden, bang, a loud bang, we're all pinned to the floor. We all looked at each other like, well, I guess we separated. Or it exploded.
And then there was this moment.
You want to get somebody's attention really quick? Make the fire alarm go off in your spacecraft when you're still about 80,000 miles from home.
The crew lived in very close quarters, blasting off, they say, as friends, returning as best friends.
Everything we did up there was a four-person activity, minimum, everything.
Back on Earth, the crew agrees the next step seems inevitable.
If you had given us the keys to the lander, we would have taken it down and landed on that moon. It is absolutely doable, and it's doable soon.
We have to be willing to accept a little more risk than we were willing to accept in the past, and to trust that we will figure it out in real time.
Speaking to Ian Hanomansing in a Canadian exclusive interview, the mission's commander said he's proud of his crew.
NASA, Canadian Space Agency, and the world really placed their trust in us. And at the end of the day, I feel like we came through.
Scientists will spend months studying the crew's findings and how the spacecraft performed, preparing for Artemis III and beyond, with the goal of getting back to the moon and ultimately Mars. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And we'll have Ian's full interview with the Artemis II crew about the highs, the challenges, and the laughs on their journey in about 10 minutes. Indigenous leaders are demanding an apology and a full public inquiry for the RCMP's secret surveillance in the 1970s. A CBC News investigation first exposed how Mounties infiltrated and tried to disrupt Indigenous organizations. Brett Forrester brings us the new calls for accountability.
do more than issue a formal apology.
That was the message First Nations leaders gave the Prime Minister today as they demand justice for the RCMP's native extremism program that spied on Indigenous groups in the 1970s.
This is deeply personal. It's a form of intimidation.
Ovid Mercredy's name appears among hundreds of people surveilled. He became Assembly of First Nations National Chief in the 1990s during a time of tense confrontation between First Nations and the government. He's calling for others to join in a class action lawsuit.
I am prepared to take legal action for the violation of my own personal security, but also the violation of my right to privacy.
CBC News obtained thousands of pages of intelligence files from the 1960s to the 1980s through access to information, revealing a program of surveillance by the RCMP Security Service targeting prominent Indigenous groups, using informants and phone taps and following their leaders. Now their successors want action.
We're calling for full disclosure of all surveillance records, an independent public inquiry, public hearings.
After CBC News first reported the details, the government initially reacted swiftly.
Yes, there should be an apology. It's reprehensible practice, never should have happened.
RCMP Commissioner Mike Duhaime didn't explicitly apologize, but did express sincere regret.
Sadly, the RCMP aimed to oppress, intimidate, and harass unlawfully our leaders at the time, leaders who were standing up for their people.
AFN is getting support from Amnesty International.
The truth must come out, and in addition to that, we must ensure that there is full access to effective remedy.
The Public Safety Minister didn't directly address those demands, but in a statement, a spokesperson said the RCMP will be inviting Indigenous leadership to Ottawa to chart a path forward that ensures accountability and rebuilds trust. Brett Forster, CBC News, Ottawa.
Spring flooding has parts of Ontario and Quebec on high alert. Rain combined with warming temperatures is causing rivers to swell. Tonight, Michelle Song is in one small community under a state of emergency.
As this small township in Ontario's cottage country declared a state of emergency over flooding, the community rushed to help.
Growing up in this community, it's always been something that's kind of been really tight-knit. You know, you help your neighbor.
We're just helping people.
This family is working overtime until volunteers deliver a load of sandbags. The water is inching closer to their front door.
If the water keeps coming up into the house and they have to shut off the hydro, then we'll definitely have to be evacuated.
Since Monday, heavy rainfall caused the river that flows directly through the town to rise. Making matters worse, more rain is expected throughout the province into next week.
We're facing a combination of heavy rains and snow melt. And when you have a fast warm-up combined quite often with heavy rains, it's kind of a worst-case scenario.
Regions across northeastern Ontario are under flood warning or watch, including Greater Sudbury and North Bay. And on Manitoulin Island, several communities are under a state of emergency.
I've talked to a lot of folks that have spent their 60-plus years here on Manitoulin, and they've never experienced anything like this.
In Quebec, water levels are quickly rising along the Ottawa River, putting multiple communities at risk. Montreal's flood alert system is now at its highest level. Residents like Kevin Warden are reminded of floods in recent years when homes were submerged.
So in 2019, the water came to here.
Back in Ontario's cottage country, residents are preparing for the worst case scenario.
I've heard that it could be getting worse progressively over the next week, so hopefully not.
Ontario is bringing in resources to help this community. Beds and cots from the Red Cross are expected by the weekend. Michelle Song, CBC News, Minden Hills, Ontario.
In Manitoba, Peguis First Nation is preparing for what could be severe flooding next week.
It's a race against time. We've got Sunday, Monday in mind in terms of trying to protect all of the homes. And as much work as you see is going on, we could even double that effort to be able to hit the target.
Premier Wab Kinew was in the community today. He says his goal is eventually to have a permanent flood solution for the community. The First Nation could see high water levels like it did in 2022, when more than 1,000 residents were forced out and hundreds of homes damaged. Home sales in Canada fell for the 5th straight month in March, and now the National Real Estate Association is cutting its 2026 forecast. As Nisha Patel explains, the war in the Middle East and growing economic uncertainty are driving the decline.
In many parts of the country, the housing market is frozen as tariffs, a shaky economy, and conflict in the Middle East keep some potential buyers on the sidelines.
It's a matter of these massive global disasters, really, that continue to unfold.
Now the Canadian Real Estate Association downgrading its forecast, predicting sluggish sales for the rest of the year.
Doesn't mean it's demand that's gone forever, but just like last year, it may get pushed off until people feel more certain to actually step into the market.
Though many cities in Quebec and Atlantic Canada are still seeing sales and price gains, Ontario, BC, and parts of Alberta are in a downturn.
The latest hurdle for buyers, higher fixed mortgage rates, which are based on the bond market, not the Bank of Canada's key lending rate.
Bond yields are on the rise because there's so much geopolitical uncertainty right now, certainly due to the war in Iran.
First-time buyers may be hesitating because of those higher financing costs.
They don't have any built-up equity from the sale of an existing home. So anytime there's upward movement among fixed mortgage rates, they're very sensitive to that.
As sales drop, so do prices. The national benchmark price is 20% lower than it was in 2022, sitting at about $664,000.
The inventory here is full.
The slow market may be frustrating for sellers, but this real estate agent says it gives buyers more room to negotiate.
There's a lot of price cuts, especially because there's so much inventory.
Vandita Nijjar and Saurav Sofat have been renting for 4 years.
The situation in 2023 and 2024, the prices are very high, like sky high. So that time it was not a good time.
Now they're desperate to buy a home of their own.
I would say the detached market has come down drastically. Whenever we'll see like any good deal, we will definitely go for that.
Hopeful they'll find opportunity amid all the uncertainty. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
For many Canadians, COVID feels like a distant memory, but the data tells a different story. A new report shows hospitalizations for all vaccine-preventable respiratory illnesses, including COVID, have more than doubled. And as Lauren Pelly explains, seniors are bearing the brunt.
The darkest days of the COVID-19 pandemic may be over.
But what our data is showing is that it's still having a big impact on our hospitals.
A new report shows hospitalization rates for all vaccine-preventable respiratory infections in 2024 were double pre-pandemic levels.
That means it's about 60,000 hospitalizations across the country in a year.
Together, cases of influenza and respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, made up around half of the total hospital stays, while COVID infections alone were more than 40%.
These can be catastrophic, life-ending infections.
This Toronto physician says the findings reflect what he sees in his own patients. Most are older and unvaccinated.
This is a major reason why someone who's otherwise independent could develop a critical illness and maybe lose that independence.
Many Canadians are still keen on getting those shots.
I mean, there's vaccines out there that are going to help you, so why not take them if they're going to prevent something?
I'm a kid of the 50s. We got vaccinated in school.
I don't see why we should go away from science. It's well proven.
But not everyone agrees.
Unfortunately, vaccine uptake has declined across all age categories.
Federal figures show a big drop even among adults 65 and older. Roughly half reported getting a COVID vaccine during the 2024 to 2025 season, while only 63% reported getting a flu shot, even though that age group faces a higher risk of serious illness.
We see risk really start to climb after 65, but especially sort of after 75, very, very steeply.
Doctors say the best way to keep more people out of hospital is for more people to get the latest available vaccines. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Just days after their record-breaking moon mission, the Artemis II crew joins Ian for a Canadian exclusive interview.
We knew we were safe. We were in the capsule, completely relaxed. It was a complete emotional release of joy when they opened that door.
How the astronauts are processing their historic journey. And there's a new dynamic on Parliament Hill.
Canadians have placed their trust in the government's plan. We now have reinforcements to help implement that.
Rosie and the At Issue panel are here in 10 to break down what Carney's majority means for Canadians. From Cape Canaveral into deep space.
I really like it up here. I wish I could have got here sooner.
A journey around the moon, then home again.
Houston Integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
The Artemis II crew went where no one had gone before, saw what no one has seen before with human eyes. Now, the astronauts Reid Weissman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Canadian Jeremy Hansen are speaking about what it all means for humanity and what it was like for them. Earlier, they sat down with Ian in Houston for a Canadian exclusive interview to reflect on that historic mission.
So this is Canadian television. We want to be a little bit Jeremy-centric off the top. So tell me something about Jeremy Hansen that maybe Canadians don't know.
He's the best there is. He was amazing in space.
No. Make him squirm.
We can't make this guy squirm. Can you make him squirm?
That's what we found out. Impossible.
I think he's probably funnier than most people realize. We laughed at some point every day of the mission because of something he said. It's understated, and that just makes it even funnier. So make him tell you jokes.
All right. Well, we won't do that right now.
Maybe the maple cream cookies were a little bit broken in some of the packages. I mean, that's about as deep as it gets right there.
So I asked viewers to come up with questions, and not surprisingly, we got flooded with questions, and there were certain themes. A lot of questions about re-entry. So Jeremy, from that moment of re-entering atmosphere, the G's, the fireball, the loss of signal, what was that like?
Re-entry is just such a magical experience. As you start to touch the atmosphere, the G's just slowly come on. We saw rise, our 0G indicator just slowly come down and boop to the bottom of the string. And then from there it got sporty. The G's built up. We hit close to 4 G's a couple times on the reentry profile. You saw the plasma coming. For me, it started high and started coming down. It was red, but then it was green and bluish, and it was bright, and it was like somebody was welding outside the capsule. I put my sun visor down. It was so bright. And then once we skipped back out of the atmosphere, we came back in again, more G-forces, and then we came out of the blackout period. There was this weird bobble as we kind of got pointed straight down at the Earth, which was interesting. You really hear the thrusters, they're loud. It's like bang, 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 and the capsule's moving around. And then the violence of the drogue chutes coming out, and you're whipping all over the place, and you're just kind of like giggling. It's kind of like an amusement park ride. And then they release, and you're falling again, and then bang, more parachutes and more sounds. And then the finale, you hit the water, and I was all ready for the brace. You know, you call brace, and it was just like, it was so soft.
Splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Splashdown confirmed.
Copy splashdown, waiting on VLDR.
Christina, we saw the video from the outside, the hatch finally being opened. How did it feel from the inside?
It was an absolutely incredible human moment. We knew we were safe. We were in the capsule, completely relaxed. We were sharing some snacks, having some water. But when the humans opened that hatch,
yes,
and were the first to welcome us back to planet Earth, which we knew we had just come back to a planet because of what we just experienced. And for those faces to be ready to get us, they had trained for this moment. We had trained for this moment.
Jeremy, absolutely welcome home, brother. There it is, Reid. What's up? Welcome home, brother. Thank you.
It was a complete emotional release of joy when they opened that door.
Reid, one of the things I appreciated at the news conference is your candor when you talked about a few moments of anxiety when alarms went off, warnings went up. Tell us more about that.
I just think anytime you're, even on the International Space Station at 250 miles up, you can get a little scared every now and then. And for us, definitely for myself, I just had that a little latent fear, a little latent anxiety. And when you're seeing numbers like 200,000, 210,000 miles away from home, And two things there. First of all, if anything goes wrong, you know it could be a very bad day, and you got to trust in your 3 crewmates, and you got to trust in the teams on the ground, and we did, for sure. We helped each other up. We held each other up. But then you also know that you have to come home and hit the atmosphere at 39 times the speed of sound, and all that energy you put in to get out to the moon, it's just the atmosphere that's going to dissipate that, and it's going to turn it all into heat. Friction, the furnace of friction, and you know you're going to do that at the end of that journey, and that's a pretty intense feeling the whole time.
Victor, another theme that we got in terms of questions from viewers is about those moments when you're on the far side of the moon, out of contact with humanity. What was that like?
You know, there's so many things about that I have yet to still unpack, but it was busy. That's the biggest thing to know, is that's when we were the closest and had really important observations to try and make sure we recorded and pictures to take, and we saw some amazing sights, the Earth setting and rising, the sun going behind the moon and then coming back out, and all of the fantastic cosmic phenomenon. But the human moment was also important, and so, you know, the chance to speak to Earth right before that happened just seemed appropriate.
As we prepare to go out of radio communication, we're still to feel your love from Earth, and to all of you down there on Earth and around Earth, we love you from the moon.
You know, the moments of silence are a big thing, a revered thing that we have in our culture, and so it just felt like, well, there may be people that have a little trepidation, but let's take this and focus it on love, togetherness. And so I don't know if what I said was the right thing to say, but I just felt like saying something in that moment. And then I went back to looking out of the window and starting my recording, and I actually prayed on the recording. I was going to just say a silent prayer, but I just said it into the recording, and I want to get that back. But it was a very busy time. We had a snack and said some words to each other, but went right back to the task that we had trained to do. It's pretty neat to watch, actually.
Reed, a lot has been said about the camaraderie among this team. I saw it today. It's incredible. And you were saying that also one of the incredible things was watching your crewmates talking to their families back on Earth. Talk about that.
It's like you go into another universe. You put on this noise-canceling headset, and you got a little computer that you're going to tie in, and you have video. It's a long delay, especially when you're out by the moon. It was a long delay. But in that vehicle, there's not a lot of time where somebody is gone from the rest of the crew, but those moments, people were gone. And they were in their own world, and you could just hear them giggling and laughing and crying, like both from joy and just, I think it was almost always just from joy, like seeing these faces. And we all know each other's family. So when they would tie on and I could hear her telling her husband's stories, and I'm like, this is amazing because I know Bob and I know him, I know your daughters and your son, and just hearing them all connect with these people that we all love. But this was a singular moment, and I was like in the grandstand watching this, such a special moment. And then when you're done with your family conference, 15 minutes, and you take that headset off, it was almost like the world was muted in color. You had just come out of this cerebral overload, and now you're back into this spacecraft. And even though it's an amazing spacecraft, it was like coming back into like a little bit of a muted world.
We're short on time. I have one last question. Maybe start on the left, my left to the right. And it's just, I know it's been not even a week, but has Artemis II changed you?
I don't know yet. I still have a lot to process.
I think that's a good answer. There's a lot to process still. Definitely reinforced things that I felt before I left, a sense of unity and a need for collaboration.
It's changed me. I just don't know how much yet.
The biggest thing when you ask that question is the immense pride that I have in Victor, Jeremy, Christina, and this crew and what we were able to go do. NASA, Canadian Space Agency, and the world really placed their trust in us. And at the end of the day, I feel like we came through. And there's very few things in my life that I can say I have no regrets over, but the way we handled that mission, there is just no regrets. These people are the real thing.
Well, the other message that came through loud and clear from the emails and social media posts I saw was Canadians in particular who just wanted to thank you and how enchanted they were by your mission. So it's been great to speak to you today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and Ian, just a chance for us as a crew to just say thanks to Canada. It was great, the connections during the mission that we had, and we just felt the love coming back from the country. The questions, they were great, and so from all of us, thank you, Canada.
Thank you. Thank you.
What an experience. And in a separate conversation, Ian sat down with Jeremy and his wife Catherine to hear their different experiences of the mission. And you can watch that interview Sunday on The National. Still ahead, allegations of corruption and mismanagement are hanging over Cricket Canada.
Is the Bishnoi gang calling the shots at Cricket Canada?
Not as far as I know.
The Fifth Estate investigates what's going on with the sport's national governing body. After the break, Rosie is here with At Issue.
Hey, Erica, tonight we're going to talk about what this Liberal majority means for Parliament and Canada.
Yesterday, voters placed their trust in Canada's new government's plan. We accept their support with humility, determination, and a clear understanding of what this moment demands for our country.
So how might this majority change how Parliament operates, and what could that mean for Canadians? Chantal, Althea, and Andrew join me to talk about that and more. At Issue tonight, a new dynamic on Parliament Hill with by-elections won and a majority secured. The Prime Minister says the Liberals are committed to collaboration.
We need to continue to work with all parliamentarians. We will do so. Work with all premiers, which we will do so. Work for all Canadians.
But the official opposition is still frustrated with how the Liberals got their majority.
We are in unprecedented territory. Never before has a Prime Minister fundamentally tried to change the nature of the government that he was elected on from the people through these kinds of backroom deals.
So what does a Liberal majority mean for how Parliament operates? What could the changes mean for Canadians? I'm Rosemary Barton. Here to break it all down tonight, Chantal Hébert is back. We're happy to see her. Andrew Coyne and Althea Raj, both here for a second time this week. Nice to see all of you. Chantal, we'll start with you because we haven't heard from you in a couple weeks and a few things have happened. What do you make of where we are with this majority and the way that the Prime Minister is presenting it as an opportunity to further collaborate with opposition parties?
Well, on that last point, I guess we'll see as time goes by. It's the easiest thing in the world to say, and then the harder stick to implement. I do believe that the Prime Minister at this point has poll numbers that make it difficult for the opposition parties to play obstruction games without giving him a rationale for telling Canadians I need to go back to the polls and have a general election, which I don't think any opposition party wants. But I also happen to think that bottom line, the result and the majority status is good news for the NDP, is good news for the Bloc Québécois. For the NDP, because they get more certainty that they have at least 2.5 years to reorganize, short of some unforeseen event, because we would normally not now go back to the polls till 2029, and they need that time. And over that period, there is a chance that sentiment on the left, on the progressive side, will build against this government. In the case of the Bloc Québécois, seriously, Yves-François Blanchet has always wanted safe shelter from what's coming in Quebec, the Quebec election next fall, and whatever may happen from then on. And he does get that as a result. And whatever leverage he's losing in the House of Commons, given the Quebec agenda, is a small loss. The Conservatives, well, it depends. Conservative Party versus Pierre Poilievre, not good news for Pierre Poilievre. But I do think many Conservatives are happy to feel that Pierre Poilievre is qualified to be the leader of the official opposition, and they don't need to worry about having a leader who may actually replace the Liberals for a couple of years.
And I want to get to sort of how question period played out on Wednesday, but that's for the next block. Here I want to really talk about the way things have looked since Monday, Andrew, and some of those points that Chantal raised.
Well, I'm amused to hear that we're into a new era of collaboration now that they've got a majority. This is a government and a prime minister with an autocratic streak a mile wide. You know, they brought in legislation, Henry VIII Acts that allowed ministers to rewrite legislation unilaterally. They brought in legislation that allowed the police to demand subscriber info from internet service providers without a warrant. Legislation that would allow or deny asylum claimants the right to an independent hearing. And that was with a minority. So what would they do with the majority? Well, we don't have to really guess. We just have to look back at the last two majority governments, the Harper majority and the Justin Trudeau majority, when committees were essentially complete rubber stamps of the government, when legislation, omnibus bills, hundreds of pages long, became quite routine, when they invoked closure literally every other bill. So I don't think we're about to enter an age of a newfound collaboration or democratic spirit. When you see the Prime Minister expressing disdain for the way in which the opposition members have been behaving themselves in committee, that they haven't quite been behaving the way he would like them to, but contented now that he'll be able to make them behave in the way that he would like to, I don't see a lot of signs of a collaborative spirit there.
Well, I mean, okay, Althea, to that point, I mean, I viewed the Prime Minister's comments there as being, this is a serious time. I expect politicians to do serious work and not, talk about silly things and become sort of clip farms for social media. Maybe that is disdain, I don't know, as Andrew characterizes it, but it also seemed to me perhaps something that Canadians might want to see.
I'm not sure that we've really seen that, though, in this parliament. Certainly that dominated the previous parliament, like the last few months of Justin Trudeau's tenure, but I don't think that we've seen it that way. I think he's just trying to show that he's kind of building a national unity government, and he's poaching from all sides and trying to give a strengthened message of national unity. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially thinking that, there's a possibility of a Quebec referendum on the horizon. There's definitely a possibility of an Alberta referendum. I think it's interesting. I agree with everything my colleague said. I think that the omnibus bills, though, and the time allocation was already a feature of this Carney government. I think it puts more pressure on the government to deliver. They could say with C5, for example, that bill that allows them to bypass other laws, that they needed this because it was a moment of crisis. But now they're in charge. If they think that those bills are problems, then repeal the Assessment Act, repeal the tanker ban, basically do what the Conservatives have been suggesting that you should do if you genuinely think those are the problems. So I think it puts some pressure on the government. I think where the real story will be interesting for us to watch is what happens on the Tory side. 3 years is a really long time. Yeah. Already there are rumblings of people trying to organize a letter that would lead to the process of having a caucus vote that would lead to the process of potentially removing Pierre Poilievre as leader. And we've seen over the course of, his speech today, over the course of interviews over the weekend, Pierre Poilievre is telling his caucus he has no intention of leaving, and he is going to fight. Yeah. And then you have MPs who are like, well, I'm probably not going to run again, and I won't have a committee because the Liberals will now be the majority on committees, and they'll lose all these committee spots that I might as well just pad my pension and not cause any waves, because I'm not sure that mounting a fight against Pierre Poilievre that you're not sure you're going to win is a great strategy. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the Tory caucus that will be worth watching in the months ahead.
Okay, and what, Chantal, though, should the Liberals be wary of with this majority? Not just, of course, losing it potentially, because it's not a huge one, but what should they be conscious of as they're navigating this new majority?
Well, I'm guessing the usual Liberal sin, and it is a recurring Liberal sin of arrogance. We're in control and we don't care what anybody says. I'm not convinced I've seen the signs of it that the opposition parties claim, but I'm looking, for instance, at what Mark Carney does with the Senate. If he doesn't have to be terribly accountable in the House of Commons, is he going to try to make the Senate a Liberal, officially Liberal place, so that he doesn't have to worry about the Senate?
The answer to that is yes.
And we don't know that. But that is actually the next step to have full control of Parliament. Yeah. It may not be his wish, but it is in the culture of the Liberal Party to decide that not only is it a unity government, but the only way to be for unity is to be a Liberal. Yeah. Well. And I'm not sure Mark Carney totally gets that culture, or if he's contaminated by it, but it has been the history of the Liberal Party. If you like Canada, you are obviously supposed to be a Liberal. I don't think that's very healthy, and that is a peril.
30 seconds to you, Andrew, then I got to go.
Joe Clark famously said when he had a minority government, he was going to govern as if he had a majority. I think Mark Carney would be well advised to govern as if he still had a minority. We are in perilous times, not only with Donald Trump threatening the country, but with the prospect of possibly not just one, but 2 secession referendums. It has never been more important. We've got big, huge decisions to make, big choices to make as a country. It's never been more important that there be genuine consensus seeking. If we just do the usual thing where one party with 40% of the vote from one part of the country mostly rams things through, things with costs and benefits, but costs distributed regionally, I think we're heading for real trouble. He's got to continue to try to reach out and be a genuine consensus builder, that collaborative spirit that he claims he's going to be in favor of now.
Okay, we got to leave it there. Thank you all for that. That's at issue on The National for tonight, but we're going to keep talking specifically about how the Conservatives and the Conservative leader are responding to the Liberal majority. Now, back to Erica in Vancouver.
Thanks, Rosie. Coming up, Cricket Canada comes under fire amid allegations of corruption, match fixing, and even death threats.
Your time is over now. You want to run anywhere? Run. You will not survive.
The Fifth Estate digs into the dark side of one of Canada's fastest growing sports. It's one of the fastest growing sports in the country, but an investigation by the Fifth Estate finds cricket has a dark side. The sport's national governing body is plagued with accusations of corruption and mismanagement. And as Stephen D'Souza reports, it appears a violent international criminal group is moving in.
There's 2 down.
It's Canada's 3rd match at the T20 World Cup, and Canadian captain Dilpreet Bajwa set off alarm bells.
Oh no! Gone with a no ball. Spinners, that's a heinous crime.
His delivery is illegal in cricket, a play that is often flagged as potentially fixing part of a match. Sources say Bajwa was interviewed by the International Cricket Council's anti-corruption unit afterwards. He was there to fix matches or to spot fix?
That's my personal belief, yes.
This person is an insider with Cricket Canada, the sport's governing body. We've protected his identity and changed his voice because he's afraid for his safety. Why do you think Dilpreet Bajwa was chosen as captain?
Simply a matter of somebody having influence on what's going to happen to the games.
Sources tell us 6 months before Bajwa was named captain, one of his teammates on the national team was at a restaurant in Surrey, BC. The national player was warned he had to protect Dilpreet Bajwa and another player.
If you don't support these 2 guys in the team, then we will tell you who Lawrence Bishnoi is.
The threats were from people claiming to be from the Bishnoi gang. The criminal group based in India was designated a terrorist entity by Canada last year. We spoke with a cricket insider in BC whose identity and voice we've agreed to protect because he also faced death threats.
Your time is over now. You want to run anywhere? Run. You will not survive.
Delta BC police have confirmed it's investigating the threat. Sources meanwhile allege the threats are connected to this man, Arvinder Kosa. He was the president of Cricket BC, and sources say he pushed for Dilpreet Bajwa to become captain of the national team. Are you aware that the Bishnoi gang is making threats against people in cricket in your province?
No, I have no idea. This is like a political propaganda.
He has denied any connection to the threats. A judge recently ordered a vote on Cricket Canada's leadership. The new president, Arvinder Kosa. Dilpreet Bajwa did not respond to our request for comment. It's not clear if he's aware of the alleged threats on his behalf. In a statement before the leadership change, Cricket Canada says it takes matters relating to integrity extremely seriously, and they support a review by independent investigative authorities. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Toronto.
And you can stream the Fifth Estate's full investigation right now on YouTube or watch Friday at 9 p.m., 9:30 in Newfoundland. Coming up, a black bear cub gets a second chance.
We knew we couldn't just leave him there.
How a neighborhood came together to help the abandoned animal. That's next in our moment. This abandoned black bear cub was recently rescued by a group of neighbors in Maple Ridge, British Columbia. For days, they could hear it crying behind their townhouse complex. So the group stepped in, turning concern into action. And tonight, their rescue is our moment.
There was an orphaned bear cub in Maple Ridge. He was just finding shelter in a tree well. We were able to find the bear really quickly. Their cry sounds almost like a human cry and had definitely not eaten. We knew we couldn't just leave him there. He was very, very small and just very clingy. And he would follow us. He was trying to climb us and like almost snuggle. It definitely pulls at your heartstrings. They're very childlike, almost. Critter Care, a local bear rehab, they had gotten a call from conservation that they would accept the bear. We were just elated. We were almost crying. There's no other place for bears to go in the Lower Mainland, so Critter Care is kind of like the only and last hope. He's doing really good, I've heard.
Aw, the bear cub was only 8 pounds. Now, apparently the group contacted conservation officers right away, but they were told they had to wait 3 days in case his mother came back for him. So they kept an eye on him until he was able to go to a rescue facility. From all of us at The National, thank you for joining us. I'm Erica Johnson in Vancouver. Take care.